Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to Real Talk. I'm Merle Huckabee, and today, as always, I like to talk about real people, real life, real issues. This is Real Talk. Today is August 27th, 2021. What a beautiful day here in Chicago. Beautiful yet steamy, humid day here in Chicago. I don't know about you, but I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be alive. I'm glad to be clothed in my right mind. I'm glad to have a roof over my head, food to eat. We are blessed in the midst of everything that is going on.
Amen.
I want you, as you know, it's always a lot going on, even here in the city of Chicago. I want you to keep Haiti in your prayers. It's so much devastation and homelessness going on over in Haiti due to the earthquakes that hit last week, and praying continuously for people who are finding their loved ones and have lost them. Closer to home, I'm going to stay on the world global for a minute. We got Afghanistan. My. It's just a lot going on all across the world, but closer to home here in the Chicagoland area. This past week, we saw mass shootings. Gun violence is still on the uprise. And even today, I was coming on, we had a shooting, it's not here in Chicago, but close to Chicago, Hammond, Indiana, where two high school students were shot at a brand new high school. So we have a lot that we must continue to be prayerful about. Today's topic, I think, is for everyone. I think if you're a parent, if you're a grandparent, if you're a teenager, an aunt and uncle, a college student, if you're just an adult, and if you're considering having a drink, if you've had a drink before and maybe didn't know how you were going to make it home, but thank God you made it home, I think this show is for you. We're going to talk today about DUI arrest, and I have an exciting guest who's going to break it all down for us. And before I introduce my guest, I want to bring you some national statistics on this matter. According to the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, this is dealing with 2019, and I'll talk about 2020 in just a minute. Every day, about 28 people in the United States die in drunk driving crashes. That's one person every 52 minutes. Again, one person every 52 minutes. Now, in 2019, the death toll from drunk driving accidents had come down from 1982, but still 10,142 people lost their lives due to drunk driving accidents. Closer to home, here in Illinois, according to the Illinois State Police, and before I get into that, in 2020, the numbers were down a little bit further because of the pandemic. You had people who were working remotely from home, who had lost jobs. So of course, there wasn't as much driving going on. Here in Illinois, during the months at the end of, they did it at December 29th is when they stopped. 5,900, and this is for 2020, 5,970 arrests have been made for DUIs in Illinois for 2020. 4,801 for alcohol, 560 for drugs, and 463 for non-specific. Again, this is the Illinois State Police database. Did you know that blood alcohol content plays a huge part in all of this. Some people have one drink and they say, oh, it's not going to affect me. I'm good. I can make it home. I can have 2 or 3. But the blood alcohol content for drivers under the age of 21 is 0.00. I'm going to repeat that. Drivers under the age of 21, 0.00. That means you shouldn't be drinking. Bus drivers, school bus drivers, 0.00. That's another group that should not be drinking. Commercial driver license holders, 0.04. Drivers age 21 and over, 0.08. Now, I got my information from Jesse White, Secretary of State. You can always go on to cyberdriveillinois.com to find out more. And we're going to tell you about a few resources when we end our broadcast. I want to bring to you today a queen, a powerhouse. I had the pleasure of meeting this powerful, what I call powerhouse young lady, when I sat on the Flossmoor School District 161 school board. She is a mother of 3 amazing young men, ages 26, 24, and 22. She is also a proud mother of 1 adopted child, a member of Sigma Gamma Rho. She is very active and cares about the community. Like I said, I met her serving and served with her on the Flossmoor School District 161. She's been practicing law for over 30 years. I'd like to welcome to Real Talk, attorney TemiJanel Boyd-Odom. Attorney Boyd-Odom, are you there?
I am here.
How are you today?
I am wonderful and blessed by God and the Most High.
Yes, it is so good to see you.
You
It
too.
is so good to see you. Please.
We were just talking about how we hadn't seen each other for a while.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just taking it in. I'm taking it in. It's just good to be seen and good to be here to see you.
Yes, Lord.
I know I forgot a lot of things, but I wanted to leave. Please tell our audience a little bit, our viewers, more about you.
Well, I'm not one of those people who rely on my credentials and the things that I've done. And people just get to know me as we go along. Let's just do that. I am thankful that you brought out the fact that I have wonderful, amazing 3 sons.
Yeah.
Proud mama. I have been practicing law, as you stated, for over 30 years. And I did 16 years with the Cook County Public Defender's Office as an assistant public defender, 14 years in private practice as a solo practitioner, law office of TemiJanel Boyd-Odom. And I was then blessed to meet my 2 awesome partners and created a law firm. And this is how God works. I had no idea or no intention and never thought in my mind that I would be creating a law firm. But he knows exactly what he has planned for you. And when he brings it to you, you make sure you walk through that door. So I am presently, as you probably see from my background, a founding partner of Hunsinger, Boyd-Odom, and Goss Law Group, LLP. And so we've been in partnership for a little over 2 years now. And we practice in our firm. Of course, I'm still doing the criminal, also real estate, which means basically not that I do landlord tenant. It means that I handle property, purchase of property, sale of property, taxes, tax liens, all those different things that are dealing with real property matters. Then my partners they bring in the family law aspect and guardianship, probate, estate planning. So it appears as though we do a whole lot, but really it's not a lot in the realm of, law. law is vast. It covers every single thing that you do in life. Everything is regulated by law. I like to focus in on the criminal matter today, though, because of the new law related to cannabis.
Yes.
We have seen so many new situations with cannabis. I don't know about how many viewers we have. I will touch on the alcohol portion, of course,
Yes.
but when you and I were talking, I was like, "Hey, we need to talk about cannabis. We need to
Yes.
talk about DUIs
Yes.
as it relates to cannabis, because driving under the influence is what the law and the statute is. People know in other states it's called driving while intoxicated. Well,
Mhm.
in Illinois, we call it driving under the influence for a reason,
That's right.
because you're under the influence of not just alcohol. People are under the influence of drugs as well. And with the new cannabis statute being so flexible and so wonderful for, of course, those people needing it medically and those who want to partake recreationally. But there is still a law that prohibits the use of these drugs in certain situations. It's not just a free for all. It's not just, oh, well, the law says that I could get high. It says that I can have this much marijuana in
Yes.
my possession. There
Yes.
are still rules and regulations, and Jesse White and the Illinois legislature has saw fit to make sure that these laws are still enforced when it comes to drugs and alcohol, of course.
I
So
think
let's,
that's important what you're saying, not to
Mhm.
cut you off, but I think that's important what you're saying, because the moment that cannabis became legal, I think people did think it was a free for all, even in their employment situation. That's a whole nother topic.
Or look at our Olympic athlete
Right,
who
exactly,
tested positive for marijuana and was like,
exactly.
well, it's not performance enhancing drug.
Yes,
So how is it that I can't? Or the recent two public defenders, new lawyers, got hired at the public defender's office. It was in the news that they were let go because they tested positive when they went for their drug testing and getting, processed for as employment with the county. They got released from the county because they tested positive for marijuana. So everyone is having this misconception
yes.
about how it is allowable, even though it's legal.
Well, I know you're going to lay it out for us, and tell us more about this, because I have to be honest, when I looked at it, the only time that I think that I have come in contact with this is, and I'm going to tell a really quick story and let you finish what it is that you need to say to our audience today. But, when your kids start driving, you as a mom, you become, oh my God, I just pray they don't have an accident, and you're kind of nervous. If you've been through it with
Mhm.
one kid, it's a little bit okay with the second kid, but you're still nervous because you also know all of that will come back on you too, whoever
Mhm.
owns that car. But I remember when my oldest daughter was in college, and I remember telling her one day she came home to please, she had come home from campus and had driven in, and go clean your car. It's an old car of mine that I let her use. And long story short, when she didn't do it, I came home from church and I said, I'm going to go and take the car to be cleaned. And when I did, I cleaned it. I like to wipe my car down. I go in the trunk and I reach in the trunk for a towel, and there's 3 bottles of alcohol that's wrapped up with this towel. I look at them and they've been opened, and my hair stood up on top of
Uh-oh.
my head. I immediately called my husband and I said, we got a problem. We have a serious problem here, And so I told him what it was. He said, come in. As soon as I got home, I probably was at the table for 3 minutes because I was going to call her in. I had the alcohol sitting on the table. She flies out. She didn't even see it because I believe she knew mama probably found what it was. And it did. It scared me. It scared me a lot.
Mhm.
She comes back in, eyes all big. And I said, would you like to explain what this is? And do you understand the impact of this and how it can have an impact forever on your life? Now,
And
as a
most
parent,
people do not. People do, grown folk do not understand the impact of a DUI on their life.
Yeah. And so it was alarming. And she stood there with her eyes, and the first thing she said, it's not mine. It's not mine. When went to a party, I brought it, but it's not mine. I was supposed to give it back. I said, you have no idea. Do not ever do this. Do not ever carry. And my mom's a retired Chicago police officer, so I turned her over to her to talk to her. But this is a very serious matter. And when you talked about bringing it onto the show, I think that this is something that everybody needs to know about. So please talk to us about DUI arrest and why it's so important for people to be aware of this issue and what their rights are.
Well, I think you did a great job setting out the statistics in DUI, which is very troubling if you think about it. It's in additional to what you've already stated. We probably already know that more men get arrested and stopped for DUI than females, and that the level of intoxication is so low. The amount of alcohol that is needed in a person's body in order to reach that 0.08, we're talking about not the bus driver,
Right.
and not the CDL driver, and
Right.
not the 21, the under 21, because we know that is zero tolerance, period.
Right.
But those people who are, like you said, go to the club, they go out to drink for dinner and they are like, oh, I'm only going to have one glass of wine, or, oh, I can handle this. I know what my tolerance level is. Well, it's not that you feel intoxicated. It's not that you feel tipsy. It's not about how you feel. It's about what your blood alcohol level is, and how your blood and how the alcohol metastasizes in your body. So a 0.08, as you said, you mentioned the Secretary of State's website, which is an excellent, perfect. Jesse White, I'm telling you, he did it with that guide. He did it with that guide. It may be 49 pages, but it's 49 pages worth of information you need to know and walk around with.
Yes.
So let's get to a person who is a man who is 170 pounds, who drinks, say, 3 shots, 3 glasses of wine. They're intoxicated. And you don't know when you go to a club how much alcohol the bartender is putting in that drink. Everyone goes, oh, bartenders, it's really light. They don't put that much alcohol, whatever. My sister was a mixologist. I know there is a shot and a half. They have a measuring that they have to do. And then when you're friends with the bartender or you're familiar, they after they do the shot and a half, then they tap it off, or you send it back and you're like, oh, I don't taste the alcohol, and you get more alcohol. You're not keeping up with this, but your blood is. Your blood is metastasizing that alcohol at the level that it's going to metastasize it, whether you think you're not drunk or not, and how much you think you know how to drink. So here we are at 0.08. It is so easy to get to 0.08. So why not, if you're going to drink, guess what? We got Uber. We got your friends, we got family members, we got so many people who don't drink. We still got cabs. Guess what? We don't have to use Uber. We still got cabs. There's still cabs out there. The CTA still exists. Okay. You do not have to drive. Then you have those people who get to a point where they are intoxicated and they still get behind the wheel of the car. And they're like, you know what? I'm going to take a quick nap. I'm just going to take like a 15-minute nap.
Wow.
And then I'll drive. Well, guess what?
Remember hearing that before in our
Has
news?
Hello?
The superintendent, the former police
superintendent. Well, we ain't even gonna go there. Anyway, let me stay on focus.
Okay.
So let me stay to the law.
Okay.
Sitting in your car under the influence, whether you're driving or not, I know it's kind of confusing because it says driving under the influence. And so
Yes,
people think I'm actively in movement.
right.
No, driving means I'm in actual physical control of the vehicle. That means I have the keys. The keys are in the vehicle. And if I wanted to, I could drive it.
Wow.
I can be in the passenger seat. I could have climbed in the back seat and went to sleep, but I got the keys in my pocket or they're in the ignition. And that means I am in actual physical control of the vehicle. That's what driving is in the state of Illinois.
Mm.
We've already discussed under the influence of alcohol at 0.08.
Mhm.
Let's talk about under the influence of drugs. Now, if you are under the influence of a drug other than marijuana, you can have 10 nanograms. Do you know how small that is?
Nanograms.
Nano says it all in and of itself.
Mhm.
10 nanograms of drugs per liter of blood, right? If you are using marijuana, it's only 5.
Mhm.
So you talking about 2 hits on a joint probably based on your body size, body
Mhm.
weight, and how
Mhm.
your blood metastasizes that
Mhm.
drug.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm not here to be Miss Doom and Gloom. I am a defense attorney after all.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That's what, and people come to you when they're in trouble on this topic.
So I'm not here, and I'm not here to preach on my soapbox about don't drink and drive, don't
Right.
smoke weed and drive.
Right.
Y'all already got that. My sister here already said it out. How many people are getting killed
Mhm.
in these types of situations? How many people are getting in accidents in these types of situations? So let's just bring it to the questions that you have for me about specifically DUI law as it relates to how we're going to defend these people, because they're going to do it.
Oh
We
yeah.
know they're going to do it.
Yeah.
They know better, of
Yes.
course. They know they're going to get out there and get in there. So what am I going to do to protect you when you get into this trouble?
You know, while you were talking about the scenario with the cannabis, suppose somebody is on cannabis medically, for medical purposes. Does that matter?
It matters. You still can't drive with 5 nanograms
I
in your system,
wanted you to stress that.
as
Because
long
some
as you
people think,
understand.
yes.
Not 5 nanograms. Now, mind you, let me go back. I digress and I say, not only does the law have to prove that you have over the limit of alcohol in your system or drugs in your system,
Mhm.
they have to prove that you are under the control of the vehicle. You're driving. So we already said driving is an actual physical control of the vehicle, but it
Mhm.
also has to be on a public roadway. So it
Mhm.
can't be they can't stop you while you're in a private parking lot
Mhm.
or on your driveway. They can't stop you.
Okay, that's good to know.
But if they saw you a lot of people, believe it or not, sister, a lot of people think that if they just avoid the police, they right around the corner from their house. I'm gonna
Yeah.
hurry up and get to the driveway.
Yeah.
They saw you driving. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, you may drive up in your driveway, but what you can't do is your neighbor can't call and go, I think my neighbor is driving drunk. I just saw him hit his mailbox
Uh-huh.
and then drive up in the leave the car at the edge of the driveway and stumble into his house.
Mhm.
No, the police can't then come to your house and arrest you because your neighbor saw you driving and hit your door. No,
Right.
that doesn't work. That's not enough probable cause
Right.
that can be used to arrest you. But let me say that driving under the influence requires the intoxication or under the influence of drugs.
Mhm.
And it also requires that they prove that you're unable to operate your vehicle in a safe manner.
Okay.
So we have these standards, right? I have to be driving. I
Mhm.
have to be under the influence legally, and I have to be unable to drive my vehicle in a safe manner.
Mhm.
Well, how do they prove that you're unable to drive your vehicle in a safe manner?
Mhm.
Well, you could be sleeping in the back seat of the car drunk.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
some,
Mhm.
but that's not dispositive. That doesn't
Right.
say for sure
Right.
that you are get a DUI and you can and the judge will find you guilty.
Mhm.
They do things like field sobriety tests,
Right.
and or they see you driving and you do traffic offenses, blow
Mhm.
traffic offenses. Well, yeah, you can blow a stop sign, blow a red light, get into an accident, and not ever be under the influence, not drink anything, not drive anything. But when you add the drinking
Mhm.
or the drugs
Mhm.
with the inability to operate your vehicle safely, like blowing a red light, running through a
Right.
light, or getting into an accident,
Right.
or weaving in and out of a lane,
Mhm.
you add all of these things together, then you can
Mhm.
end up getting a charge of driving under the influence, and eventually you can end up getting charged and tried and then found guilty. And we'll get into the penalties for it. But let's go back to the proof that they use and
Mhm.
the standards that they use for
Mhm.
determining whether or not you're unable to operate your vehicle in a safe
Mhm.
manner.
Mhm.
Everybody knows, other than the driving, the moving violation,
Right.
what do we know? Field sobriety
Field
tests.
sobriety. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
walk, the walk and turn, the ABCs, the one leg stand, the
Mhm.
nys- the nystagmus test, and the
Mhm.
touching your nose.
Right.
Well, as a defense attorney, I can tell you, you do not have to agree to do any of these tests.
That was my question.
And doing these tests are similar to making a statement against your interest, making a confession.
Wow.
And so I tell my clients all the time and my family members, if you know that you have been drinking, don't think you can outsmart the police.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
you know that you have drugs in your system, do not think that you are smarter than the blood test that's going to happen when they take you to the
Yes.
hospital and draw your blood.
Yes.
Think that I am not stupid enough to make a statement against my interest,
Yes.
because that's exactly what you're doing when you take a field sobriety test. No, the police are not going to read you your Miranda warnings and tell you that you don't have to take a field sobriety test. Why? Because Miranda is talking about speech.
Right.
It refers to speech.
Mhm.
You have a right to remain silent. There
Mhm.
is no statute that yet,
Right.
we're going to get there, right?
Mhm.
Because the more people become aware of this,
Yes.
you have a right to not take a field sobriety test. Why would you make a statement against your interest? Why would you get up there and try as a sober person to do the field sobriety test?
Mhm.
There
Wow.
has been, of course, there are attacks that we have as defense attorneys on the nystagmus test. That's the test where you take the pen and you have to
Mhm.
follow the pen and they
Mhm.
determine nystagmus. This takes some training. Every
Mhm.
single officer is not trained
Mhm.
to and certified on field sobriety test. They have
Mhm.
not been trained and certified. So
Mhm.
you'll see a lot of officers, majority of them, can't even ask you to do field sobriety test at the scene. They'll call someone who is trained and certified to the scene. And
Mhm.
if that officer is not available, guess what? They have to try to take you to the police department. What are
Mhm.
they arresting you for? What are they taking you to the department for?
I have a right to refuse, right?
If you refuse field sobriety test and the only thing they have seen was you driving, you blew a stop sign, that's just a petty traffic offense.
Right.
What are they arresting you for? What are they taking you to the station for? They
Right.
put you in the car You are not free to leave. That means you are under
Right.
arrest.
Mhm.
And there's no probable cause. Therefore, me as a defense attorney, I file what? A
Mhm.
motion to quash, arrest, and suppress the evidence
Mhm.
because you were not under arrest properly. They had no probable cause to put you in the car and take you to the station so that someone else could try to do a field sobriety test.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So people have to remember this. They have to know this, that they do not have to subject themselves to providing evidence against their interest. And if you have been drinking, I don't care if it's one drink,
Mhm.
I don't care if it was 5 hours ago and in your head, it don't worked out your system. So I'm going to hurry up and do this real quick.
Mhm.
I ask you first, do the field sobriety test at your house by yourself, sober, and how difficult it is.
Mhm.
Because 62% of people, you know this because you saw the
Right.
Jesse White
Yep.
guide.
Yep.
62% of people will fail the field sobriety test sober.
Yes.
Why? Because they have medical conditions.
Yes.
They have balance issues. They're overweight.
Mhm.
If you are 10 to 15 pounds overweight by BMI, which I can tell you I definitely am, and most people are above their BMI,
Mhm.
that can skew your ability to complete these tests successfully.
Wow.
I have a condition called Sjogren syndrome.
Mhm.
If someone made me do the the nystagmus test, and people don't know this, you can have astigmatism. You can
Yes.
have, like me, Sjogren syndrome, which is dry eye syndrome.
Yes.
And there are several other syndromes, that eye conditions that
Mhm.
will make you fail a nystagmus test.
Mhm. Mhm.
Don't do it.
Mhm.
Why are you doing it? And
Right.
you might not even know that you have an astigmatism. You know how many people actually go to the freaking eye doctor?
Like they should. Yeah.
You know, they go to Walgreens and get some readers. Oh,
Yes.
shoot, I
Or the
can't
dollar store
read.
too, Diane. Dollar store too.
Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
go grab some readers. Come
Yes.
on. And you have
Yes.
no idea that you have an astigmatism and you're doing a nystagmus test. We
Mhm.
don't want to have to get to a point where you are charged and
Mhm.
then have to come to me. Now, mind you, I love making money. That's how
Yes.
I feed my family and
Yes.
provide a roof over my head. So if
Absolutely.
you don't want to listen to me, please call me 708-855-0868. I will represent you. I really will if you don't want to listen.
Mhm.
But for those people who do want to listen, and you do get stopped, and you do get arrested, or you get asked to participate in field sobriety tests, or go and take a blood test, or take a breathalyzer test, don't do it. That's a confession.
Mhm.
That is a statement against your interest. Okay.
Wow. Wow.
So that's what I want to impart on all of our wonderful people who are watching. 52% of people who are arrested are under the age of 35.
Yes. Wow.
52, that means there are between 21 years old and 35 years old. Isn't that the age when they think they know everything?
Yes, exactly.
I thought I knew everything.
Yeah,
And
we all did.
you can't tell me nothing. Well, I'm not your mother.
Mhm.
I am an attorney with 31-year plus experience in this field. And I am telling you, as an expert in the field, as
Right.
my partners keep calling me, 30 years, you an expert.
That's right. That's right. You are.
I don't consider myself an expert, but common sense tells you it's I'm not going to do this. I've been drinking. I won't take field sobriety test, and I will not take a breathalyzer test, and I cannot beat the law. I'm not slicker than the law is.
Yes.
Period. So
Yes.
let's go to those people who don't listen, right?
Mhm.
Those people who actually say, "Oh, I know I'm gonna get behind the wheel of the car. I ain't drunk, and I'm smarter than the average bear.
Yeah.
And they're driving. Well, DUIs are expensive. So if I can't get across to you the idea that you can't beat the system and you're going to still drink and drive, just
Mhm.
be ready to shell out the money because it can cost you up to $10,000.
Wow. That's what people need to know. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of
Yep,
money.
it is. And when I talk about people, you want me to break it down? If you get stopped by the police, get what's going to happen to your car? It's
They're gonna,
it's going to be
they're gonna
towed.
investigate it. Yeah, they're gonna do it.
You can't call someone and have them come and pick it up because the police are liable for the content in that vehicle, the condition of that vehicle when
Mhm.
they take you from that vehicle. So they're going to cover their butts and they're going to
Mhm.
make sure you get towed. You got the tow fee.
Mhm. That
Most
adds up.
most villages, most of the villages out in Chicago area and other places in Chicago, in order for you to get a signed release from the
Mhm.
police have to release the vehicle. That means they have to say, yes, we're done processing it and we don't need it anymore. And guess
Mhm.
how much you have to pay for them processing your vehicle and releasing it?
What is that?
Another $500.
This is adding up.
So this is $500 to just get a piece of paper to go to the pound and then pay the pound for the money for towing the vehicle and storing the vehicle there. And
Mhm.
guess what you have to have? All your documents. That means you have to have your valid license, you got to have insurance, you have to have the title has to be in your name, you have to have proof that you own this vehicle.
Mhm.
Lots of our clients don't. And so
Wow.
the car will sit there and the impound fees will add up.
Yeah.
But
A
but
day.
say you have all of the stuff. You like
Mhm.
that person sitting here, huh? I got all my stuff. I'm
Yep.
gonna get it the
I'm
same
ready.
day.
I'm
We're
ready.
still talking about at least almost $1,000 right there. Boom, straight up. How much is the bond? Well, they've been releasing people now lately, on their own recognizances. They sign off on a bond and they're released. So we're good with that.
Mhm.
Then we have to have legal representation. And I know for a fact I'm not cheap. And 99% of the attorneys who I practice with are not cheap. So you're talking thousands of dollars for legal representation. Before you even walk in the courtroom, you've already spent $2,000 to $5,000.
Wow. That's an expensive drink.
Oh yeah,
That
thank
drink
you.
is
That's that's
expensive.
that's an excellent way of saying it. That drink that's a real expensive drink because we ain't even done yet, girl,
I
with the
know.
cost. I
I
said
know.
I'm gonna take you to the 10,000.
Mhm.
You have a evaluation you have to pay for, a drug and alcohol evaluation that is required. You have all of the court fees, $500 minimum court fee just for the clerk's office. You got almost a $500 fine that you must pay to the state for all of these programs that they're funding because with your DUI money, because the mothers of drunk drivers, MAD, they're
Mhm.
very active and they're going to get the money that they need to continue to run their program.
Right.
So you did the evaluation and evaluation came back, no, you're not an alcoholic. Guess what? You still have to pay to go to treatment, a
Wow.
minimum of 10 hours of treatment and 10 hours of aftercare. And you got to pay for that. You have to do 10 hours minimum of 100 hours minimum of community service. You have a job. When are
Wow.
you going to fit in community service? You're going to
Mm.
miss work, take your vacation days instead of going to Bahamas, you going to do some community service.
Wow.
You have to do a victim impact panel where you sit and you listen to people whose family members have been killed and the impact of drinking and driving on someone who had an executive position and they lost their position because they had a DUI.
Mhm.
So we're talking the cost of, like you said, that one drink, or what shall we say, the one drink too many.
Yeah.
The one tote. You took too
Yes.
many pulls off of that joint or blunt or whatever they're calling it nowadays.
Yes.
Um, yeah, that's a very expensive thing. But if you're going to do it, as I said, you got to know your rights, and
Yes.
you have a right to, there is still a cost associated with those rights.
That's right.
If you deny a field sobriety test, you deny the breath test or the
Mhm.
blood test,
Yes.
your license is going to be suspended for a longer period of time.
Wow.
So even if you take the breath test, even if you take the field sobriety test, your license is suspended in 45 days. On the 46th day after the DUI, you're going to be suspended for 6 months.
Wow.
Suspension means don't drive, not drive, period. People do it anyway. And guess what? You get stopped for driving while you have a DUI pending. That's called driving on a suspended license.
Mm.
Minimum, you have to do minimum of a conviction for driving on a suspended license that hits your driver's license. Guess
Wow.
what's that's going to do? That's going to extend your automatic suspension from the DUI. Then, in addition to that conviction on your record for driving, you have a minimum of 10 days in jail
Mm.
or 30 hours of community service. And this time you ain't doing the little 100 hours of community service at your church or your favorite pantry. You're doing 30 hours of community service or hard labor with the Sheriff's Work Alternative Program.
Wow. Wow. Boy,
That's
this
for
drink is really, it's got to be made
that's
out of gold for all of
a
this.
law for people to actually not pay attention. Okay. It really does. That drink had to be, I'm
Woo!
telling you, that was so good. I will
The
take the
effect's still
risk.
lasting. Wow.
And so let's go to that person who took, that's the 6 months for person who took the breathalyzer, and that person who did the field sobriety test.
Mm-hmm.
Say you listen to me and you don't take the breathalyzer and you don't take the field sobriety test. You are, after 45 days, on the 46th day at 11:59 p.m., you are suspended for a year for refusing to do this. That's an automatic thing. However, when you get an attorney like TemiJanel Boyd-Odom, we are going to have a hearing that is called vacating, a petition to rescind the statutory summary suspension, which is what that is. It's a statutory summary suspension. But we have grounds to get it suspended. So you won't have to do the 6 months period. You won't have to do the 1 year period. Why? Because they have no evidence against you
Wow.
to sustain the statutory summary suspension.
Wow.
They don't have the field sobriety test. They don't have a breathalyzer. They don't have a blood test. And therefore, how can they sustain a statutory summary suspension? We get that rescinded because there's no probable cause for the judge to believe that you were intoxicated and unable to operate your vehicle in a safe manner.
Wow. You're a lioness.
Hey,
You're a legal lioness.
all of us in this area, if you are experienced and you know this stuff, you come and it can happen. But say for those people, unfortunately, who don't listen to us, or out there who are listening to this and they didn't hear your real talk. They did not get the real talk from here. They already have a DUI pending.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they need an attorney so that they can try to figure out how to work this out. There is a way for you to still drive. If you're a first-time driver, there is a monitoring device that you can pay. Remember I said a DUI costs a lot?
Wow.
Well, you got to pay to get it installed, and you have to pay to keep it in your car. And it requires that you blow into the vehicle for it to keep driving. And then it makes you do it while you're driving because they don't want you to be slick. The
Mhm.
machine, the
Yeah.
machine doesn't want you to be slick and get somebody to blow in there and then you drive off, right? No, it's gonna
They
beep,
done
beep,
thought of
beep.
everything.
You gotta blow again while you driving. It is so inconvenient, and don't go on a date with a bad device in your car because it's embarrassing and humiliating.
Wow.
And then there's also what's called
I gotta go to work.
yeah,
I
you
gotta
got
go
a
to work.
restricted driver's permit for those people who can't qualify for the bad or don't have the money to pay for it or don't even have a car that is eligible to fit the machine that you know that has the what is it, mechanical capacity for it.
Yes.
There's a thing called a restricted driving permit,
Okay.
and the judge can sign a permission. It doesn't mean that the Secretary of State has to approve it, but the judge can sign an order saying, okay, you have to drive. You've gotten proof to us that you drive. You have to drive from 6 a.m. to 6:45. It takes you 45 minutes to get to work. That's the limit of the time that you drive it. You ain't stopping off nowhere. You ain't stopping at the grocery store on your way home.
You mean I can't sneak?
You ain't going through the drive-through at McDonald's. You got to drive from your house to the job, from the job to your house. And if you deviate from that, guess what? You lose that restricted driver's permit and you cannot ever get another one.
Wow. I need to go to the store.
You better call Uber, a cab, Pace, your friends, your family members.
Wow.
Because, yeah, it's not going to happen.
A lot of consequences.
Lots
A lot of
and
consequences.
lots. And just think about the people who have to drive for their job.
Yes. Yes.
There's no bus route that can get you there.
Yes.
Or this is your work.
Yeah.
Somebody with a CDL or who's a bus driver.
Right. You just blew it.
You just blew your job, your employment, the thing that you put food over your head with. It's a really, really terrible thing to get caught up in. And people have to understand that there's no expungement or sealing after the DUI. It remains on your record.
How long?
Forever.
Wow.
I told you, Mothers Against Drunk Driving made sure that there were certain offenses that was not something you can get wiped off, and that is a driving under the influence of alcohol.
Wow. No matter if I complied, if we did
You
everything.
did everything.
I need this off my record.
Nope.
I may be trying to go for a job.
Nope.
With Metro or anybody.
I tell people all the time, mad, them women that they say there's nothing worse than a woman scorned. Don't be messing with no women's babies. Their kids get stopped. That's it. But the other thing I want to bring out, not just because I'm saying that my clients are making a statement against their interest by going along with a field sobriety or the other test, the breathalyzer, but the inaccuracy of those tests is so great. We're talking a 65% inaccuracy. We're talking about a plus or minus difference between the 0.08. It could be, you could have been 0.08, but it's actually a 0.10, or it could actually have been a 0.06. But those tests are so inaccurate.
Wow.
That you don't want to put your faith and your freedom and your future and your finances in the hands of, I'm going to still go ahead and blow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're supposed to be asking me questions, and I've just been talking.
You're answering a lot of the questions that I had, which is excellent. I mean, the way that you have presented this, my hope is that I know I learned a lot by going in and researching this, and I'm hoping that we're helping somebody. And if people will share, this program, that, I want you to make money, but we want people to be aware of the consequences of DUIs. And a really quick, thing that I also think is important, we're going back to school. Every year during this prom time, they put those cars, those crashed vehicles out there. And I think it's a reminder, but yet it still happens. Prom nights, people are, celebrating getting out of high school. Hey, and there have been so many cases where the driver has lived, but the people in the vehicle did not.
Right.
So, but parents, and I'd like you to talk a little bit, if you can, about that. I know we're wrapping up, but, and I want you to come back, because I think that we got a lot to talk about, and the conversation has to continue.
Oh, yeah.
But the parents, they kind of like, I'm in a celebratory mood. My youngest daughter is a senior this year, she used to ask me when she was younger, why is that car there? Look at that car, well, now she knows. I mean, she has an older sister who went through high school, but let's talk about that as people are returning to school, getting ready for their senior year, hey, I'm gonna do it big on prom,
And they think that is cute.
Yeah.
First of all, let's talk about the elephant in the room, right?
Yes.
They're not supposed to be drinking, period. Okay.
0.00.
They're not supposed to be drinking because they're under the age of 21. And in Illinois, it requires that you be over 21 to drink legally.
But parents hold gatherings. There are parents who hold gatherings who allow their children to drink because they're there.
We gonna get there.
Okay.
Don't you know it? Same thing with the weed.
Yes.
It's legal, but it's not legal for children under the age of 21. So, okay, we got that. There are parents who are going to allow their children to drink. Then those parents need to pop for a limousine, some kind of driving service.
Yes.
They need to go ahead and spend that money. If they think it's cute to allow their child to drink, for those children who are like, okay, we're going to drink anyway. Guess what? I know that when, you already said how old my children are, when they were in high school, they did a group of people got together and got a big old, limousine, and they rode together. You can do that as well, but don't let your kids get the keys of a car, or you go and rent a car and that they're drinkers. Even if it's not, I gave you to drink, in the back of your head, that risk. It ain't worth it. It's not worth it. It's worth going ahead and getting a driver. Even if you don't have money to buy, pay for a, what do you call it? Limousine, have a family member drive,
Right.
let the family member play the limo driver and do it that way. But don't let the child drink. And definitely, if you know that your child is likely to drink, get them a driver. It's not cute. It's not a rite of passage for them to kill themselves or kill someone else.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that that's real important. And I just hope that people will hear the message, because like I said, every year we end up seeing, accidents that were preventable. And a lot of this is preventable. Quick story, my husband and I, this was some years ago, we met up at this Martini Bar on 167th, and it was really, we're seeing some jazz artist or something that was there, Galib Galab, I think. And, we had a drink. I think it was a 2-drink minimum. They said you must have a, 2-drink minimum. So we were drinking, and I'm not a big drinker. And we were like, oh, it's nothing in these drinks, And then here comes a man, he had known me, and we're gonna buy drinks for the whole table. Oh. All right, we're like, these are Mickey Mouse drinks. By time, and it was me and my husband, when we were getting ready to leave, those Mickey Mouse drinks we were like, oh my God. We know we just live up the road, but how we gonna get there? And I mean, it was tripped out. It was I had
Mm,
never had that happen. And this is me and my husband.
right.
And so I have to tell you, we did drive. We drove and we got home, and I think we both had a sigh of relief. And the kids were like, when they found us the next morning, we was like, dog, those drinks slipped up on us. We thought they were Mickey Mouse drinks,
Mhm.
but never to do that again.
No.
Never to do that. Our kids didn't even know what had happened, but things, like you said, everybody's alcohol level, the bloodstream is different. You can take medication or you can drink a drink and I drink it and we totally react totally different to it. So people have to be aware that everybody is unique in the way that they're made. And that
And
yeah,
any given day, like people are so stuck on they know their tolerance.
right.
I know my tolerance level, but that day you could have not eaten right, or you
Yep.
could have had too much sugar. And the way on that day that your blood metastasized that alcohol is going to be different. So you cannot just don't just think in your head, I am not going to drink and drive. I'm not going to drug and drive,
Mhm.
period. Because you have no idea what is going, our bodies are wonderful, miraculous instruments, and we have no control on what's going on inside of them.
That's right.
You got to just follow the rule. And if you decide that you don't want to follow the rule and you do get arrested, I pray and pray that you don't end up killing someone, end up getting into an accident. I tell my sons all of the time, you don't have to kill yourself. You can end up killing somebody's mother,
Yes.
somebody's grandmother, your
Yes.
sister.
Yes. And to
You
have to
don't,
live with that.
for the rest of your life, and the family members. You don't want to do that. So I guess we didn't get a chance to talk about penalties, and the sentences, possible sentences if you do end up with a DUI and you do end up, going to court. And if we have time, would you like me to go into that?
Like you, yeah, we have about 4 minutes left. Is there anything that you can give us? And I'd like to do a part two to this if I can get you, we coordinate your schedule for next month, because this is a conversation that needs to continue.
Yes, ma'am. So really quickly in 4 minutes, we already talked about you can get supervision, but supervision will include also community service, victim impact panel, fines and fees and court costs that are usually a little over $1,000, sometimes more than that, in just the fines, fees, and court costs.
Mhm.
We're not talking about how much you have to pay for your treatment and other things, but let's stick to the
Mhm.
other things. You have, if it's your second DUI, you can end up with a conviction, which means your license is revoked, not just suspended, it is revoked. And revoke means that in order for you to get your license back, you have to go to the Secretary of State for a hearing. And you cannot ask for that hearing until the time that you have finished all of your requirements in the court, including all of your treatment, all of the community service, everything that you have to do in the court. And then you have to wait, I believe it's 12 months if it's your first conviction, and 3 years
Mm.
if it's your second conviction or more. So these are things that you want to realize. I'm going to not be able to drive, period, if I don't get my statutory suspension rescinded by a private attorney, because the public defender's office cannot file a petition to rescind a statutory summary suspension, because that's considered to be civil in nature. So know that, oh, well, I'm going to give me a public defender. No, you're not going to get your statutory summary suspension rescinded unless you see a private attorney.
Wow.
So you're thinking about that money as well. And then there's the idea that in 2019, they passed a law that says if you're driving the wrong way down a one-way street
Yeah,
or on the expressway, which seems to be the norm for people
yeah,
who are intoxicated. For
yes.
some reason, they keep getting stopped because they decide they're gonna drive down a one-way street. Hurry up
Mhm.
and get home if I
Yes,
just cut through here.
right.
That's an aggravated DUI, and that can be charged as a felony.
Wow.
A third DUI can be charged as a felony. And we're not talking about just 364 days in Cook County Jail, where you get day for day credit and you might spend 6 months in jail. We're talking about the Illinois Department of Corrections, the
Mm,
penitentiary.
wow.
And people go, well, I was just driving. I go to the penitentiary for driving. Yes, you can.
Wow. This is getting more expensive and the tab is adding up really quickly because I don't want us to get cut off from Facebook. If a person is a doctor, a nurse, anything like that, and they're caught in something like this, and could they lose their license for that in terms of
Oh,
that?
yeah. Certifications are caught up in that. And like you said, we don't want to get cut off. So we'll save that for part two.
All
How's that?
right. Oh, thank you so much, Attorney Boyd-Odom, for coming on and seeing us today. I'd like you to again tell our viewers how they can contact you. You gave out a phone number earlier. You are with Hunsinger, Boyd, Odom, and Goss Law Group. And that is it in Homewood, Illinois? Is that correct?
We're in Flossmoor.
Flossmoor. I get that always, never can get
That's
that.
okay.
Flossmoor. And how can they connect with you?
They can look up hbog.law, which is we have a web page. We have a Facebook page, hbog.law. You can look up just TemiJanel Boyd-Odom, and you'll get all the information that you need about my whole entire life just by looking me up. But again, my phone number is 708-855-0868. My email is TemiJanel, my first name, at hbog.law. TemiJanel at hbog.law.
And thank you so much for joining us here. And you're going to
Thank
come
you for
back.
having me.
Going to come back and we're
Yes.
going to have a part two. I think we need to see you every month.
Yes.
We need to see
Yeah.
you every month. You are a legal lioness. You can be a lamb or a lion, as you said, but people need to know. Thank you so much for coming on Real Talk, Attorney TemiJanel Boyd-Odom.
Thank you.
Viewers, I like to say that we have had a wealth of information today about DUI and DUI arrest. And I like to thank my guest, Attorney TemiJanel Boyd-Odom, for coming on and sharing with us. She's going to come back and join us next month. It is a beautiful Friday. Go and enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. And we will see you here. It'll be after Labor Day here on Real Talk. Have a great evening, everyone.